Welcome back to my channel, Travel with Nature. Today we are taking a tour through High Springs, Florida. High Springs is a city in Alachua County, Florida, United States. It is the fourth largest city in Alachua County and seventh largest in north-central Florida. The population was 6,215 at the 2020 census, up from 5,350 at the 2010 census. It is part of the Gainesville, Florida Metropolitan Statistical Area. The multi-award-winning Grady House Bed and Breakfast has a welcoming front porch which starts your experience into yesteryear. The main house has the charm of a 1917 home adorned with lovely antiques and vintage novelties. The main house has 5 guest rooms and 4 bathrooms with an owner's quarters and large kitchen. The guest house is a 19th century Victorian home. As Turlin House is an experience in itself with 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, full kitchen and 2 parlors. High Springs is a perfect destination for a day trip with antique shops, boutiques, monthly art walks, as well as incredible dining and craft beer at the High Springs Brewing Company. Located near the Santa Fe River, High Springs is known as the gateway to the springs with quick access to the nearby springs. As we head into the downtown area of High Springs, we find several cute shops and eateries. On the right we have First and Main Hair Studio, Clubhouse Apparel, Lanza Gallery and Art Supplies, and Florida Creamery of High Springs. We make a right-hand turn into the business district, and on the right we have Jerry's Barber Shop, Lovely Nails, Al Patio Mexican Cuisine, The Bird Nest Antique Shop, Jody's Beauty and Barber Shop Choi Kwang Do of North Florida, and Lion's Lair Boutique Spotlight. In 1884, the Savannah, Florida, and Western Railroad was extended from Live Oak to Gainesville. A post office and station were established here in that year under the name of Santa Fe, which was a common spelling of the name of the nearby Santa Fe River. The town was also known unofficially as Orion before the name was changed in 1880 to High Springs. In the next few years, High Springs boomed as a result of the development of phosphate mining in the area. In 1892, the town was incorporated. During the next year, the Savannah, Florida, and Western Railroad completed its South Florida division, which connected High Springs with Port Tampa. By the beginning of the 20th century, High Springs was known as an important railroad center. A major draw to the area is the beautiful springs, all within 30 minutes of the city. These include Poe Springs, Blue Springs, Ginny Springs, and Alino State Park. Florida's springs and rivers have long been known as premier natural vacation destinations, bringing hundreds of millions of dollars to the local economy. No matter how hot the summers get, the water in any of Florida's hundreds of freshwater springs is never warmer than 75 degrees. Most spring water ranges from a refreshing 68 to 72 degrees year-round. The most local spring to High Springs, Poe Springs, is listed as one of the major springs in Florida. He Florida Springs Institute is located in High Springs and represents all of Florida's springs. The Institute is committed to conserving Florida's springs through science and education and has spent the past 8 years monitoring the water quality of springs throughout Florida. High Springs is still small of about 6,000 people and quiet, but the downtown area has been spruced up and is now home to several antique shops and nice restaurants. In contrast, just a couple of blocks from downtown, many of the streets are still unpaved and are home to weather-beaten old houses drowsing under the ancient oaks draped with Spanish moss. Picturesque downtowns, storied pasts, rural lifestyles, and laid-back atmospheres. It is that type of vibe that is exhibited in many of small Florida towns, including High Springs. Voted as the friendliest small town in Florida, High Springs is the epitome of small-town life. If you are coming to High Springs and are looking for a place to stay, there are several choices to fit everyone's needs. Whether you are looking for a hotel or a campground, High Springs has you covered. A couple of hotels in the area include, but are not limited to, Blue Gem Motel, Grady House Bed and Breakfast, High Springs Inn, and Holiday Inn and Suites. If you are looking to stay in the area with a travel trailer or tent, there is Ellie Ray's RV Resort, Travelers Campground, Moonshine Acres RV Park, and Suwannee River Rendezvous Resort, just to name a few. I turned around in a nearby neighborhood and now we are heading back to the business district. On the right we have Extreme Exposure Dive Shop, True Value Hardware, which is almost directly across from the Ace Hardware. Good News Art, consider the Lilith Thrift Shop, Decades on Main Antique Store, the Mantle Antique Store, Feeling Sassy Wigs, Jewelry Works of High Springs, and Great Outdoors American Cuisine. While visiting this beautiful town, be sure to spend some time at their many parks. It is very easy to spend a couple of hours or even a couple of days at these amenities. There is Catherine Taylor Park, the Civic Center Park, High Springs Sports Complex, James Paul Park, home of the Caboose, Memorial Park, Olino State Park, Post Springs Park, Ruth B. Kirby Gilchrist Blue Springs State Park, and Walter Howard Park. As we cross Highway 27, on the right we find the stakeout home of the original Philly cheesesteak sandwich, the Sweet Spot, North Florida Springs Environmental Center, Antique Center of High Springs, Wisteria Cottage Gift Shop, Badcock Home Furniture and more, and Thompson Flower Shop. Up a little further on the left is Craft Auto Parts, Auto ER at High Springs City Boys Tires, and the U.S. Post Office. If you are in town on a weekend and you are trying to beat the heat, check out a play at the High Springs Playhouse. They have plays on Fridays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. and Sunday matinee at 2 p.m. Doors open 30 minutes prior to showing. This brings us to Highway 441, which is one of the main roads to High Springs. As we cross 441, we are entering the residential area on the north side of town. On my short drive through this quaint town, I did see a few houses that were for sale, and I also saw a couple new build, single-family dwellings. While walking around town, be sure to check out the High Springs Museum, dedicated to preserving the history of the Railroad Center and the life and times of the 1800s to early 1900s. A core element of time in the city we know today as High Springs, Florida. Located in beautiful downtown High Springs, Florida, directly behind City Hall inside the old schoolhouse. Enjoy traveling back in time, learning about their local history, envision the day and the way people lived, worked, and played. Their museum is also very kid-friendly. The High Springs Historical Museum is a nonprofit organization that relies on the generosity of its friends and supporters to meet the expense of providing valuable exhibitions. As I make this left turn onto Northwest to 138th St., there is the High Springs Cemetery, which is on the northwest corner. Across the street from that are the High Springs Tennis Courts, beach volleyball courts, High Springs Civic Center, and their softball fields. We are approaching Highway 441 again, and at the end of the street we see Southern Auto Repair on the left and Station Bakery and Cafe on the right, and directly across from me is a Family Dollar. I showed a few of the dining experiences downtown, but there are several more than that. Here is a short list of other eateries available for your dining pleasure. Sam's Pizza and Subs, Talented Cookie, Bombi's Cafe, Pepperoni's Pizzeria, Bev's Burger Cafe, Bev's Better Burgers Drive-Thru, The Opera House, High Springs Brewing Company, Pink Flamingo Diner, and Spins Sweet and Savory. A fun family activity can be found at mini golf at the Pink Flamingo Diner. Located behind the polished stainless steel diner in High Springs, an 18-hole mini golf course tees up family fun perfect for the kids to burn up extra energy. Each hole represents a Florida spring, complete with educational signs. The course features water features, photo ops and benches to relax and soak up the sun. The median home sold price in High Springs was $305,000 in June 2024, up 1.7% from last year. And the median price per square foot was $202. The housing prices by bedroom type for June 2024 compared to the previous year, the home price of one-bedroom homes increased by 55.6%. Two-bedroom homes decreased by 21.6%, three-bedroom homes increased by 4%, four-bedroom homes increased by 28.4%, and five-bedroom homes increased by 168.1%. The average household income in High Springs is $96,655 with a poverty rate of 18.19%. The median age in High Springs is 36.8 years, 31 years for males, and 37.5 years for females. High Springs crime rates are 28% lower than the national average. Violent crimes in High Springs are 35% lower than the national average. In High Springs, you have a 1 in 60 chance of becoming a victim of crime. High Springs is safer than 47% of the cities in the United States. Year-over-year crime in High Springs has increased by 31%. Bones of prehistoric mammals and tools of Paleo-Indians have been recovered from springs and rivers near High Springs. Hernando de Soto led his expedition through this area around 1539, and in the 17th century Indian villages and a large Spanish mission flourished near the Chautauqua and Santa Fe rivers. The Florida Historical Markers Program was created in 1960. The purpose of the program is to increase public awareness of the rich cultural heritage of the state and to enhance the enjoyment of historic sites in Florida by its citizens and tourists. Through this program, historic markers and plaques are placed at sites of historical and visual interest to visitors in recognition of historic resources, persons or events that are significant in the areas of architecture, archaeology, Florida history and traditional culture. For more information on the Historical Markers Program, please contact the Florida Department of State, Division of Historical Resources. Today, Florida boasts over 400 historical markers, with new markers being put up each year. Alachua County alone has over 30 markers, due largely in part to the Alachua County Historical Commission, which has provided funding for many of the markers. Looking to plan the ultimate weekend trip in Florida but don't know where to go? It's time to check out the small city of High Springs. This small gem might not immediately be on your radar for a fun weekend away, but just wait until you see all of the incredible things you can do while there. Have you ever made a weekend trip to High Springs, Florida before? Or do you think this small city would make for the ultimate weekend away? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for riding along on this tour of such an amazing little town, High Springs. I look forward to seeing you here again soon, and happy traveling. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, Travel with Nature.